The second principle is going to come later at the end of chapter 1. So just as God's Spirit produces sound and then life comes and then there is forming and filling in Genesis, God's Spirit is going to come to rest not on necessarily the attempts of these, in Genesis chapter 6, these strong giants, these Nephilim, these rulers who are children of the divine council. These strong people are going to try and manipulate the situation to get the strongest leaders possible, to produce children who are the biggest and strongest. And God's Spirit in Genesis 6 says, I'm not going to contend with humans, these humans forever. I'm going to let my Spirit rest upon the individual family that is chosen. And that individual family is Noah. So the Spirit selects Noah. Well, if we go back to Acts chapter 1, when the apostles return, and it's a short walk from the Mount of Olives, they're all gathered together. And they have to, in that moment, decide what they're going to do with the leadership that has become fractured. As Judas has died and one from their company has left, there's a vacuum to fill. And interestingly, this happens a lot in pandemics, where church leaders will have to move. And there it creates a vacuum. When there is that vacuum, the tendency is we've got to fill it. We've got to fill that. But principle number 2 is let God pick the who. And pray with peers. The apostles gathered together with all the other apostles. The 11 are gathered with all the other apostles, with the women, with Mary, the mother of Jesus, and with Jesus's brothers. All of the peers are gathered together to pray together. And then out of that prayer meeting comes a recognition that the church leaders are to not try and fill this themselves, but instead try and embody the Psalms. They see the Psalms as an important indicator of what they should be responding and how they should be responding. And so Peter gets up and says, look, the Psalms are about this moment. And the Psalms indicate that a person like Judas would have their possessions taken and their place of leadership vacated, and then God would choose a new one. So let's let God choose a new leader. This is a decision everyone agrees to. So it's not done in isolation. When you're praying with peers, there is no isolation, which was one of the challenges that someone sent in. It's hard to be authentic because of the pressure. It's hard to be known and seen unless you're willing to put forth the effort to pray with your peers. And then God becomes the one who appoints, and everyone else become peers. There's no division in authority between the 11 and the other 120 minus 11, if you want to do the math, the 109. There's no division between them. I mean, you got Mary, the mother of Jesus, and she's right in there with them. And they're all together as peers saying, God, who do you want to choose? Through the whole community, 2 options are presented. And they don't say, okay, we're going to select one of these 2. They say, God, you take over, we'll cast lots. Casting lots is a priestly activity that allows God to determine how the lots fall. And they let God pick the who. And that who is Matthias. Matthias is chosen to fill that position. And now the 12 are going to be able to minister with one member from each tribe represented. So they recognize we need one from each group that is a part of our church, that is a part of our gathering. And now we have it, and God chose it. So what groups might be present in your community who don't have a leader to care for them? And how might God choose that leader? If you would like to have episodes delivered to you as they are released, then you can subscribe to the channel or at djbiblecoaching.com.